Hello and welcome to the show. I am Joe Tophat. Last week, I did a video talking about Jack Kirby celebrating his 100th birthday. As a continuation of that celebration, I decided to do another video, but this time, I'm showcasing the comic book reprints of his greatest work. This is a series of 12 comics from his Marvel line. I got all 12 of them from my local comic book store. The guy I bought them from had actually met Jack Kirby and confirmed what a lot of people said about him towards the end, about how bitter he was over his Marvel's treatment of him. This issue right here, as you can see, is the Mighty Four. It's the very first issue. Actually, you may be interested to know that this comic has 2 issues. The first appearance of Four, and let's see now. And it also has the first appearance of Loki. Yep, the trickster god. It's interesting how someone like Jack Kirby was into Norse mythology. Because as you know, he grew up in a rough neighborhood where being an egghead would have been frowned upon. And he always sounded like a tough guy, but he was an intellectual at heart. And each one of these comics has an intro right here. Yeah, look how awesome Four is. And as if some of you don't know, in the original comic series of Four, he was a guy named Donald Blake. Let's see now. Oh, don't know if you... Not this page. Yep, that's Donald Blake right there. Sorry, I'm having some problems with my lighting. I hope that won't happen again. Yeah, he had a bad leg, but every time he bangs that cane, he becomes Four, and every time he drops it, he becomes Donald Blake again. That only happens when he's on Midgard, or our world. In Asgard, that don't exist, but modern Four, Donald Blake doesn't exist, so it's not an issue. And here we have an issue of Black Panther. I don't know whether the militant group got their name from the comic or the comic got their name from the militant group or vice versa, or maybe it's just a coincidence, but pretty neat that Jack Kirby created this black superhero. I haven't read this issue yet, but it's pretty nice to have. Yeah, Kirby always had such unique artwork. And one thing I didn't know was that, with the help of Stan Lee, he created Groot, as in Groot from the Guardians of the Galaxies. I haven't seen the movies or read any of the comics, but I've read this issue, and all I can say is that Groot is not the friendly tree creature that you all know and love. This was just a one-off, and I don't know if Kirby was aware of the Guardians of the Galaxies. This also has another issue with a creature called the Hulk. This, I believe, was done before the Incredible Hulk. And he's also an android and an alien. And look what we have here. Four vs. Hulk, which was later adapted into an animated movie. I haven't read this issue yet, so I don't know how faithful it is. But it even has another issue with the Submariner and the Avengers. Pretty neat. And of course we have first issue of Iron Man in his golden armor. Wait a minute. No, sorry, I take that back. This is not the first issue. That's right. Kirby drew the cover of the first issue, but he had nothing to do with it beyond that. Yeah, gold looks pretty nice, but the one he currently wears is much better. Oh, here is Ant-Man and Wasp. An interesting thing, for those of you who haven't read this or haven't seen Lincora's review of these, that Hank Pym, or Henry Pym as he's called here, was featured in the comic before he became a superhero. Yeah, it's just about him being a scientist, and he works on the shrinking formula, and he gets caught up with these ants, as you see. It's an interesting issue, you know, nothing unusual, but his first appearance as a superhero was right here. There's Wasp, the first of her millions of costumes she does. You know, she's a fashion designer. I really love her, and the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. It's well known that Hank Pym would abuse it. It's well known that Hank Pym in later years had given Wasp a black eye. Even here, like, while he never strikes her, he is kind of a dick towards her. I mean, making so many judgments about her, even though he barely said anything to her and vice versa. But still, it's pretty fun. And this is like the first issue where Nick Fury becomes director of S.H.I.E.L.D. But this isn't Samuel L. Jackson. This is like, well, this is the original Fury. See, he's a white guy. Like, I like Samuel L. Jackson. I usually don't like it when they change the race of a character, but Samuel L. Jackson's pretty cool. And it's in a different universe, so I can live with that. This is one of his lesser known issues. Yep, about a boy and his dinosaur, or a primitive boy. I haven't gotten around to reading this myself, but yeah, it's beautiful artwork. But I did read the intro where they now have it as a girl. Man, Jack Kirby really was creative. And here's like an issue of the Inhumans. Black Bolt, where excuse me, where he cannot talk because if he does, he can level a city. Man, that's one reason to stay silent. Then again, you know, some people ruin their careers by opening their mouths, so maybe being silent ain't too bad. Now, this one contains like the only story for Marvel he did with Joe Simon, his partner, or Timely as it was called. Yeah, the iconic image. I showed you guys this cover in my video about Jack Kirby, but it's so awesome to look at. Yeah, this has like the origin story that both him and Joe Simon did, and a later one he did with Stan Lee. Yeah, he really hated Stan Lee since the beginning. Of course, here's one he did where the Captain America joined the Avengers. Been frozen for 20 years. And the final issue is the Eternals. It's basically like his new gods. One of these intros, I can't remember which one, Kirby was described as being like Homer, the poet, not Homer Simpson. Leonardo da Vinci Star Wars and Shakespeare all rolled into one. It's pretty interesting description, but I'm surprised they didn't say George Lucas and not just Star Wars. Yeah, so these are really good comics, and if you can find them, check them out. Jack Kirby is always good read. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments section what you guys think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.